As I told you before,
We're all crazy around here.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
I'm skipping work for this.
3 tickets for 3 o'clock.
Better than the movie, huh?
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
It was excellent. Great flick. It's the one I've been waiting for. Yeah.
I like it. It gets better every time I see it.
George went out with a bang with this one.
It was fabulous.
Did we see the same film?
Well, I liked it. I thought it was interesting, the development between Episode 1 and Episode 2, where in each film, Lucas was trying to do things that he really wanted to do in the very first film, Episode 4.
I just love it. I've loved every single one, so I'm not too picky.
I'm still like high from it, yeah.
I'm excited that Jar Jar Binks is going to not be in this one.
The original plan was not to do Star Wars at all, but to do a Princess of Mars, and he needed to be doing huge armies of green Mars.
Well, I think it was well done. I think it was well done. I mean, that does end up happening in real life, is that people do sort of turn like that. And
it was awesome. Yeah. I think it's one that I would like see again and again and again.
Digital creatures, large creatures with 8 legs, that sort of thing. And so, it was interesting that he was finally able to develop the technology.
It's almost bad enough to ruin the original 3 Star Wars.
Enough, it's almost like he just switched and was doing like killing kids and stuff automatically.
It's like watching paper dolls.
I only came because I heard my wedding song was going to be in it, which is the Imperial March.
Hey, she wore her shirt today that says "Dorks are hot."
It's a good idea. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a good idea, but I really think you need to kind of get into the background of how he even got into the Star Wars concept originally and what he's worked on and developing over the last few years in terms of technology.
Which idea is that?
Definitely have your work cut out for you to go in a direction that other people haven't.
I think that you guys should do that.
I think it's an all right idea. I'm not a great Star Wars fan, to be honest with you.
I think it'd be worthwhile. There are a lot of themes that could be explored.
Absolutely, a lot of themes. Humor, relationships.
I think it's a good idea. It could be a little bit boring. It just depends on who the people are that are talking, I guess.
I think as long as you have different perspectives, so it's not just a Lucas love fest.
Right. It's kind of like flogging a dead horse.
Maybe.
That'd be great.
I'd be in a movie like that.
Would, rather, carve my eyes out with a butter knife.
I mean, for me, this is more interesting to watch the audience because I am totally confused about the numbers anyway, which film this was and what happens next and what was first.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really like the idea. Just a bunch of people sitting in a room talking about it.
Does it pay?
Dude, I'm there.
To tell them that it sucked?
But just sitting down, talking with other people, getting in arguments and stuff.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. I would get to talk about Star Wars. I could do that all day.
Ah, you're talking to the right person here. Lloyd knows everything about Star Wars from the beginning.
That would be really cool.
Yes. Will it include the books as well?
I'd be in a part of it, but I'm not a fan because when Darth tells Luke he's his father, I felt like I'd been molested. I saw it as a child and it really traumatized me, to be honest with you.
Andre.
Andre. Okay, go ahead. Go from the table. Just stand there and let you know where to sit. Hi. Dawn. Okay, great. Go ahead and stand by Andre. Celine. Hi.
Lloyd, this is my wife, Caroline. Hi, I'm Herb.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Jake. Hi, I'm Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, mine's smaller.
Thank you all for coming this evening. As I believe you know, you were chosen to participate in this conversation on the basis of the interviews that we conducted on opening day, May 18th.
So who exactly are you?
I'm the barista, as you can see. I'm here to make espresso and perhaps help out with one or two other things as well.
What's your name?
You must forgive me, but I would prefer not to say.
Oh, okay.
Why not?
You can just address me as barista, if you like. I'm not a character in the film.
And so we are the characters? That's interesting.
Where is the director? Are you the director?
No, I'm not the director.
Where is the director?
I've never met the director. Perhaps one of you is the director.
Can you make a frappuccino, decaf?
I can make anything you like.
Chai tea?
Of course.
So if you're not the director, then where is he?
Apparently there's no need for a director this evening. I have been told he felt his presence might inhibit you.
Inhibit us? Inhibit us?
Not bloody likely, eh, Lloyd?
So we can say anything we want?
Yes.
And talk about anything we want?
Well, why don't we begin with Revenge of the Sith?
I would like a double mocha with whipped cream, please.
I'll take mine black with a large dollop of Maplethorpe. No, bring me a latte, if that's okay.
Certainly. As I said before, I can make
You
anything
mentioned
that
you might be doing one or two other things?
Yeah, that's right. You said that.
Well, if you insist, I'm also a kind of facilitator.
Which means?
Which means, should the conversation bog down or take the wrong path,
Oh,
then I'll
so
be
there
able
is
to-
a wrong path, huh?
I have no way of knowing that yet. Perhaps.
Quel mystère.
She's French.
Are you sure you're not the director?
Would you care to introduce yourselves?
I'm Herb.
I am Celine.
My name is Lloyd.
I'm Caroline.
I'm Bill.
I'm Andre.
Hi, I'm Don.
I'm Jake. And I really love Star Wars.
Not alone.
Yeah,
So Lucas pulled it off, right? It's better than the first two. You gotta admit
You
that.
mean the Phantom Menace and the first two, not the first
The
three?
first two, yes.
The prequels?
Episode 1, Episode 2.
Well, yes, it was better, but that's not saying much.
It was extremely disappointing to me.
I agree. Incredibly disappointing, especially after the critics said that it was
They
the best
said
Star-
it was the best one since The Empire Strikes Back.
The critics loved it. Ebert and Roper gave it 2 thumbs
Yeah,
up.
right up their respective asses.
Oh.
What a couple of fucking movies.
Wait a minute, can he say that? I don't think he's allowed to say that.
Don't worry, Caroline. They can always edit it out.
The movie was horrible, just as bad as the others, but in a different, even more insidious way.
You mean like Darth Sidious? The names in these movies, good grief. I felt like I was in the middle of a Monty Python skit. You know, the Minister of Silly Walks? Or how about the Emperor of Silly Walks?
Or how about the Emperor of Silly Makeup? You know, for a minute there, I thought I was in the wrong movie. One in which it is suddenly revealed that the Emperor is, in fact, now wait for it, a Klingon. Fucking Star Trek.
Caroline, language.
Well, Lloyd, you said fucking.
Yes, but mine was for a purpose and yours was completely gratuitous.
Completely gratuitous, Lloyd.
Without cause or reason, exactly. Very much like gratuitous sex, as in the difference between PG-13 and R.
A little like our sex life, then. Oh, or is that more like the difference between G and PG?
What about Count Dooku? You know Count Dookie? Do you think that's what Lucas really intended? To call Christopher Lee Count Poo Poo?
Did you know that the Green Day album Dookie was originally going to be called Liquid Dookie before they decided against it?
God.
Well, I guess that about sums it up.
The no heard round the universe.
Or at least in a galaxy far, far away.
The farther, the better.
baby.
No.
Probably the one thing this movie's going to be remembered for, which is pathetic. Christ almighty, I half expected the Emperor to say, "It's alive! It's alive!" Frankenstein, James Whale, 1931.
The effects were fantastic.
Who cares about the effects, huh? The story, how do you say, sucked? Huh?
Yeah, and the performances.
And the
performances. I mean, what you were saying about special effects, that's just the problem. This movie is all special effects. There are no relationships, there's no romance. I mean, remember Han Solo and Princess Leia? And then look at what we get stuck with. Anakin and Padme. The two couples don't even compare.
I am Anakin, I am Padme, I am flat.
I love the princess' hair.
You love her hair?
She had a steering wheel on her head.
Oh, yes, but think about costumes. They were gorgeous.
It wasn't a fashion show.
You don't like fashion, girl? It was an incredible fashion show. Come on, that's part of the whole experience. And the music, John Williams, it was awesome. He hit it right out of the fucking park.
Very moving, very, very moving.
You know, really, I just went out of a sense of obligation, you know, closure. And Hayden Christensen, he was abysmal. I mean, he was supposed to be sexy, right? He was not sexy.
I thought he was hot.
Maybe not so much with the princess, but with Obi-Wan, that whole master-student thing.
Woof. Natalie Portman was not that much better, and she's actually a pretty good actress. I mean, did you see her in Garden State?
Well, at least she wasn't doing her kabuki thing like in Phantom Menace, huh? And someone should teach her how to put on lipstick, huh?
Does anyone really like these movies?
No.
Yes.
I like Yoda. He reminds me of my uncle from Marseille.
Oh, you mean your uncle has big ears?
Yes, he had little hair sticking out.
Yoda nearly saved Attack of the Clones, but not quite.
Well, and the animators who created Yoda put more life into his character than George Lucas put into all the other real human beings combined. Which is why Yoda always steals the show.
What's that joke that you always tell about the Medusa?
Why is
thing?
George Lucas called the Medusa director? Because all his actors turned to stone.
And my God, even R2-D2 and C-3PO seem like pale copies of their former selves.
Oh, and what about Jar Jar Binks? Come on. Oh, Misa so stereotype, Masa Annie, how rude.
But that is Lucas's personal homage to Stephen Fetchett and Butterfly McQueen. You all know Butterfly McQueen. Gone with the Wind. How does she do? I don't know nothing about birth and no baby.
Look, here's the biggest problem. Everybody looks like they're acting in front of a blue screen.
You mean green screen?
No, dear, I mean blue screen. Lucas likes it blue.
Oh, really, Lloyd? And how do you like it?
Yeah, special effects. I mean, it's like a total disconnect between the special effects and the people actually in the scene. That's been happening a lot lately. Way too much. Anybody see Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow?
I'm wrong, though. I'm completely wrong. That's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the wonderful promise they held out.
All three, you mean?
All three what, Caroline?
All three movies, Lloyd. Episodes 1, 2, and 3.
But especially Revenge of the Sith. Look, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and when it had such excitement and passion. When Lucas announced that he was making the prequels, it was like I was 11 years old all over again. You know, that same feeling. I was ready. I was psyched. I was even going to go dressed up in costume till she talked me out of it, you know?
Seen the costume. It was like 2 seconds.
But then you go see it, and it all falls flat, you know? Flat. Because it's all about trade agreements and rules of Senate procedure and love scenes by the lake.
Which was not even a love scene. I mean, now, Han Solo and Leia.
Enough with the Han Solo already.
Darling, I haven't even gotten started.
Oh, I love that scene. Exquisite, dreamlike. Huh?
The lake?
And finally, Revenge of the Sith comes out, and you're right, the critics said it was the best movie since Empire Strikes Back. And you think, finally, Lucas has listened to us, he understands what we want, he's finally found himself again, and you go see it, and...
Hello! Did we all see the same movie?
I agree. It was probably the most spiritually meaningful of all three films.
Spiritually meaningful?
It was epic. It was epic.
It was not epic.
It was epic. Epic!
It was not epic. Epic is the Ten Commandments.
Finally, something I agree with.
And the space battles. X-Wings, Y-Wings, TIE fighters flying all over the friggin' screen. Come on! And I don't care what you say. The relationship between Anakin and Padme?
Terrible.
It was moving, touching. Anakin's dilemma, whether to remain faithful to the Force and allow Padme to die, or move over to the dark side and save her life. And Chewie, we got to see Chewie. Oh my God, Chewie! Oh, and that final battle between Yoda and the Emperor in the Senate chamber. Do you remember the fingernails? You don't remember the fingernails? And the slaughter of the young ones? Still gives me the shivers. And that last showdown between Obi-Wan and Anakin on the volcanic planet of Mustafar. That was great! And Anakin's gruesome transformation into Darth Vader. Oh man! And how Lucas finally weaves all the different plot elements together. Didn't you just love that?
Listen, I need to ask you a question, and I don't mean to offend, but I'm just a curious guy.
Curiouser and curiouser, Lloyd.
But why would two gay guys be so interested in Star Wars?
Can we smoke?
Andre, I'm curious too. What do you think of?
I like them.
You like them?
Especially the woman.
Caroline.
Yes, Caroline. I like her breasts and her sense of humor.
Small and firm.
A sense of humor?
Her breasts.
Indeed.
And Lloyd?
No, that's Lloyd.
Yes, that's Lloyd.
Well, his knowledge of film is quite good.
And his knowledge of gay culture?
Obviously rather limited.
Do you know any other gay man who likes Star Wars?
Indeed, who loves Star Wars? Of course.
Have you ever asked why?
Oh, well, they love Star Wars. Oh, you know, Don, some gay men hate Star Wars.
Because they're gay?
No, Don, because they're human beings, just like all the other gays who love Star Wars.
Oh, I get it. With the same human emotions. Love, hate, fear, disgust, and depending on the individual, even some of the same likes and
Oh,
dislikes.
precisely. And for example, I've known straight men, good friends of mine, who just adore Judy Garland and even Carol Channing. Oop.
Whoever would have guessed? And did you also know, Andre, that men, and women too, have been having sex with each other from the beginning of recorded history?
As part of the normal human condition, you mean?
That is the logical assumption. But to return to the subject of Lloyd.
You know, as a Christian, I would advise you to forgive him. I'm convinced that Lloyd's transgression is rooted in ignorance and pique, and not in any real malice.
Ignorance and pique.
Ignorance of basic human emotions, and pique and losing the argument over Revenge of the Sith.
I did.
Speaking of basic human emotions, I wonder how Lloyd would react if he knew that we're going to be married, and in your church, with your pastor, and that we want to adopt children.
I hope he realizes that the adoptive children of gay parents don't necessarily become gay themselves. What a stupid myth that is. And of course, not that there's anything wrong with that if it turns out that way.
Of course, and speaking of myths,
Yes.
I wonder if Lloyd understands that gay sex isn't so much different than straight sex.
It isn't done, but are you sure?
Well, Andre, straight couples are very adventurous in this day and age, or didn't you know?
Details.
Perhaps it's time to draw a veil over this discussion. Did I answer your question, Lloyd?
I believe you have.
Lovely. That was a beautiful comedy routine, don't you think?
I've done that before.
I think they have. Here's my question. Which one of them is the straight man?
Returning to the subject of Star Wars, did anyone see the article in Wired about George Lucas? With George on the cover wearing Darth Vader's helmet? Huh? You did?
Yes.
Yes, I know you did, sweetie.
I read it.
But of course you did.
I'm not sure what it was trying to accomplish. To me, it read more like a puff piece masquerading as responsible journalism.
But of course it did.
I disagree. George Lucas is a remarkable man.
Well, I'm not saying for one second that he isn't. He is.
That article was about his past accomplishments and his future aspirations.
Yes, but what it wasn't about was what happened in the middle. In between the first three films, episodes 4, 5, and 6, and the last three, episodes 1, 2, and 3, where he went so dreadfully wrong.
Talk to me, Harry Winston. Tell me all about it.
In other words, you wanted it to be about something else. You wanted it to be a George Lucas expose. As if the National Enquirer were suddenly caught writing for so-called intellectuals. Not that I have anything against so-called intellectuals.
Oh, tis. Far too obvious, Don.
I read it too. It served its purpose. Lloyd and I discussed it. One need merely read between the lines.
Well, she's won me over.
Listen, I didn't read the article, but it's pretty obvious something really did go wrong, no matter what anyone says. Lucas was originally a pretty good director and an even better storyteller. His student film, THX 1138, American Graffiti, the very first Star Wars, of course. You gotta remember, though, he did farm out Empire and Return of the Jedi. I've always wondered why. So he could spend all of his time supervising special effects? Because that's what he realized he was really interested in? With the last 3 films, he must have felt he had something to prove. Had to show he was a real director again and not just some boring technocrat.
But he did direct Howard the Duck.
No, dear. He didn't direct Howard the Duck.
I thought you told me he directed Howard the Duck.
No, he produced Howard the Duck.
But story by George Lucas, no?
The story by George Lucas, yes.
You're forgetting about the Indiana Jones movies.
Just okay, in my opinion. Some good moments.
I don't think so.
I mean, directed by Steven Spielberg, that's a pretty good pedigree.
I've always found his work to be just a little flat. More craft than passion.
Flat.
His work has passion, but more the paint-by-numbers kind of passion.
Yeah.
Hello! Still, it is kind of too bad that Spielberg didn't direct the last 3 Star Wars films instead of Lucas.
Yeah, or even Chris Columbus. I've often wondered what Spielberg and Lucas's other buddies said when he showed them Phantom Menace for the first time. Did they actually pretend to like it?
Quel thought.
You remember how thrilling the crawls used to be at the beginning of each film?
I hardly even read them anymore.
Do you two know any other songs? Melancholy Babies just so last fortnight. Oh, he's on the phone. Who you talking to, baby?
Oh, no one, baby.
That article did make one thing clear, though. I mean, what a powerful effect that Lucas has had on the economy. I mean, through the technologies that he's pioneered, and through the many men that he's inspired to go forth and found new groundbreaking companies of their own.
Great, so he's another Henry Ford or Bill Gates. That's fine. And that's actually what I'm talking about. He's become an industrial behemoth with about as much creative passion as most behemoths. Those last 3 films felt like lumbering dinosaurs.
Go get him, Tiger. The Lloyd strikes back.
What I found interesting was what the article said about his roots, about the different esoteric filmmakers who inspired him, the long hours he spent looking at avant-garde movies, his desire to be a rebel, his desire to make a difference, and then, by his own admission, how he was more or less seduced by the dark side. Mammon.
Still, a little mammon never hurts. Hey, Lloyd?
Little mammon? No. Small and firm.
Oh.
And now he says he wants to be a rebel again, as if that were possible. We all go through our rebel phase, he's been through his. He's not Howard the Duck, he's Scrooge McDuck. And there's no getting around it and no going back. Which, by the way, he has already proven with Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clowns, and Revenge of the Sith.
Attack of the Clowns, darling?
Yes, dear, Attack of the Clowns.
Good one. Which reminds me, Lloyd, what kind of duck are you?
The kind that flies south for the winter to warmer, more welcoming climes.
I think you're being far too harsh on the man.
Hello? Look at me, Andre. I'm reduced to a single word.
Okay. You're right. I still love the first 3 films, and that's what counts. Right there, I have to give George his due.
I hate to say this, but in my opinion, the prequels actually debased the first 3 films. I don't think I'll ever be able to look at them the same way.
I do believe I found my voice, and it's violin.
You know, Caroline, I think I'm finally starting to get it. I believe we're here to render judgment on Lucas, guilty or innocent. Just like 12 Angry Men, Sidney Lumet, 1957.
Andre, I've lost the will to live.
Except we're 8 angry persons.
I'm not angry.
Mellow yellow.
What's that supposed to mean?
And person sounds so much better, doesn't it, Caroline? So much more euphonious.
Euphonious, Lloyd. Another charming word. What does it mean?
Close your eyes, Caroline. Now, imagine the entirety of the universe.
Ooh, he's getting all metaphysical on her ass.
Mm-hmm. Are you imagining it?
Almost there. Got it.
Now, imagine it without the sound of Dawn's voice.
Aha.
I don't know about anybody else, but to me, that's euphonious.
Thank you, man.
Touché.
I'm curious about the first time each of you saw Star Wars. Jake, why don't you go first?
I remember I was only 8 or 9 years old. My father was in the hospital getting dialysis. He had already been there for a few days and had just been diagnosed with kidney disease. Of course, I didn't understand any of that. I just knew it was something bad. And that when people go into the hospital, sometimes they don't come out. Anyway, it was the first time I was going to be able to see him. Somebody from social services had been taking care of me, and I went with her. My mom passed when I was only 2, and right when I was about to lose it, I found my dad's room and went in. And he was sitting up, and actually it didn't look nearly as bad as I thought he would. But I noticed the dialysis machine and all the tubes and blood and everything, and I just got scared all over again. But my father said, "Hey, Jake, come over here. Look at this. Look at what's on TV. I don't think you've ever seen this before. It's great." And I go over to him, and he gave me a kiss, and he pointed up to the TV on the wall. And I was looking at the inside of the Death Star, which was the strangest thing yet, because I felt as if I had just passed through the Death Star. But then pretty soon, we were on the planet of Dagobah, and Yoda was trying to show Luke how to use the power of the Force to lift his X-Wing out of the swamp. That really got to me. The idea that you could use your mind to move objects or influence events. All of a sudden, I was doing it. I was trying with all my might to will my father and me out of there. And then suddenly, it was over. The nurses came in and took out the needles and unhooked the tubes, and my dad got up. And it was time for us to go home. See, I imagined for a moment that I had actually done it, just as Yoda had done it when he lifted the X-Wing, with sheer willpower. Afterwards, my dad talked to me about the disease and the fact that he would have to have dialysis for the rest of his life. But looking back, and especially since I know more about it now, I know he was trying to play it down so as not to worry me. But what he really wanted to talk about was Star Wars, the original Star Wars in 1977, and how it sparked his imagination like nothing else ever had. It even encouraged him to start reading just for the pure pleasure of reading. See, all that meant a lot to me. It helped me see my dad in a new way. And I'm not sure why, but it even helped me feel better about his kidney disease. And it made me determined to follow in my dad's footsteps. So I became a reader too, and a huge Star Wars fan. The fact that my dad could no longer work or work for very long had a huge impact on my life. It meant that we spent a lot more time together than most fathers and sons. Sometimes too much time, but on the whole, it was great. It is great. See, I've never stopped willing for my father to get better. And I've never stopped believing that maybe, and just maybe, there is something real about the power of the Force.
So your father couldn't work after that?
It was hard for him. He had a few jobs, but they didn't last for very long.
Your father's from around here?
He was born here, but my mom was from Hong Kong.
So what about you, Herb? What's your Star Wars story?
My father was on the road a lot. And he was usually very strict with us, my brother and me, when he was around. He didn't take crap off of anyone. And there was a lot of people he didn't like. He always seemed to be unhappy about something. And when he was home, we always had to be quiet as possible. My mother was always telling us to keep it down. It was funny, though, in a way, because he never wanted us to play at anyone else's house, which you'd think he would, since all he wanted was to be left undisturbed. He would give the impression that no one in the neighborhood was good enough for us. Not for him, or anyone else in the family. And so my mother was stuck at home a lot too, even when he was gone, because he would always call and want to know what was going on. Anyway, I did have one close friend. He was a kid who lived a couple doors down. His name was Tommy, and when Star Wars opened, he was going to go see it with his mom and dad, and they invited me to come along. And I was pretty sure I wasn't going to be able to, but I asked my mom, and I remember she got this funny look on her face and went off to ask my dad. And when she came back a few minutes later, I was amazed. He told her I could go. And it was the most incredible experience I ever had. I mean, I completely forgot about everything for like 2 hours. It was almost as if I were in the movie, you know, especially during the final battle on the Death Star, where Luke is battling his way through the trenches and those huge guns like you see on destroyers and battleships are blazing away at the X-Wings. And I came out of the movie, and it was still inside of me. Have you ever had that experience? I mean, of course, I didn't want to go home. But for some reason, I wanted to share the whole thing with my dad, which I knew I couldn't do. He was never a big movie fan. The next morning, I woke up and I was surprised. The movie was still inside of me. I mean, I could still feel it. I guess it was then I realized just how much the movie had affected me. After that, Tommy and I would play Star Wars together, firing blasters at each other and stuff. But that was never really the big thing with me. What I like to do is to go off by myself whenever I got the chance and just simply imagine being in the movie, imagine being Luke's friend, or imagine being Luke, and invent completely new stories and situations. It helped a lot to do that. It helped a lot. Until I finally outgrew it. You know, I don't think I've ever told anybody this before. It's a little like giving testimony in church, which probably makes sense because much, much later, Star Wars came to have an entirely different meaning to me.
Well, when I was very little, my mother and father gave me a Darth Vader helmet.
Wait a sec. I've been listening to you. You're French, aren't you?
Oui, yes.
So I mean, what brought you here to Seattle?
The evil empire.
What do you mean?
Microsoft. It is very simple, no? Etienne has become like Anakin.
Who is Etienne?
Oh, my boyfriend.
I still don't understand.
Well, I will try to explain. You all know about the Ottoman Empire? Well, the Ottoman Empire collapsed under its own weight in the beginning of the 20th century. You all have seen Lawrence of Arabia, no?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember when Lawrence is captured by the Turks?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Jose Ferrer?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember his mustache? Very decadent mustache, huh? Do you remember when he raped Lawrence? That was the Ottoman Empire. And that is Microsoft, no? That is how all empires come to an end. The sweet smell of rot from the inside, and from the outside, the little fish is nibbling at the edges.
That's great.
All right, I will begin at the beginning, but I warn you, it has nothing to do with Star Wars.
No, go ahead.
Well, 5 years ago, I met Etienne in Paris. I had received a fellowship from the Sorbonne and was there doing research, and Etienne saw me and was attracted to me. He was feeling very good about himself, and he asked me if I would like to have coffee with him. Etienne is quite handsome and seemed nice, so I said yes. He told me that he worked for Microsoft, which at the time seemed erotic. No, exotic. And that he just met with the IT department at the university. I, of course, pretended to be more interested than I really was. Etienne is quite cute and very smart, and so we started to go out, and a few weeks later I fell in love. Now we jump ahead. Etienne learned of a job opening in Redmond, interviewed for the job, and was hired as a technical evangelist. Crisis. He wanted me to go with him, but it was an extremely difficult decision to make, even though I loved him very much. I would have to leave my family and everything I was familiar with, but I went. We found an apartment in Redmond, and I was happy for a while. Everything was new. I had not been to America before, and I did not have a job. I could do anything I wanted. So now we jump ahead again. 2 years passed. Etienne changed. He was working 12 hours a day and traveled incessantly. I could not work. I did not have a permit, and I could not get one. All Etienne cared about was Microsoft. All he talked about was Microsoft. He ate, he breathed, he even made love to Microsoft, I think. You know, I bought a Mac computer. I bought a Mac, far superior to Windows, by the way, and even this did not get his attention. So, I'm going home. They call Microsoft the evil empire, and I hate it. Microsoft has ruined my relationship with Etienne, and it will never recover because Etienne is no longer the same and will never be the same again. I'm going home. I'm very sad, and it will take a long time to get over Etienne, but I'm going home. It is the right thing to do. And I'm taking my Mac with me.
But what about the first time you saw Star Wars?
Oh, yes. I nearly forgot. I'm sorry. It is not very interesting. You know, my mother and father gave me the Darth Vader helmet with compartments in it for action figures. And I did not know what it was, but I liked it. I began playing with it and making my own stories. I had not been to Star Wars. At last, my father took me to see it, and at last I understood what Star Wars was all about. And I loved it. And I no longer cared about my stories. So I went home, and I began playing with Luke and Han and Princess Leia, Chewie, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even Darth Vader in their world. I still love that world. That is why I'm here, I suppose.
Well, we could tell our story together. I had been a huge Star Wars fan from the very beginning. Guess you could even call me a geek.
How true.
Anyway, Caroline and I met while we were both in grad school. We were in the library one evening, and she was sitting at a table reading a book by Robert Heinlein, not Stranger in a Strange Land, but something else. Anyway, it immediately got my attention because I didn't know very many women, I don't think I knew any women, who really liked science fiction. So I went up to her, and she immediately puts the book down and covers the title with her hands.
He's exaggerating.
She didn't realize I'd seen the title over her shoulder already, and I don't know what she thought, that this perfect stranger would think less of her if he saw her reading science fiction. But she couldn't have been farther from the truth. I introduced myself, which is something I almost never did with women. And we started up a conversation that lasted, how long, Caroline?
At least a couple of hours. We ended up at some all-night coffee place off campus.
Yeah, that's right. And to me, an even bigger surprise, we started going out.
I liked him. He was very sweet and very sincere. I mean, he even opened car doors for me.
I think it was our third date. I really wanted to impress Caroline.
Oh, as well as probably entertaining some feeble notion that he could get me into bed.
No, probably about it. But this is obviously a twice-told tale, part of our family mythology. Caroline saying nothing new.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Lloyd, humbly.
Never humble, Caroline, never humble. But that's all right. In any case, I had gone all out, blown my budget for the month, made reservations at the Pink Door in Post Alley, filled my apartment with candles, bought these huge strawberries, you know, the dipping kind with the stem still on.
I forgot
laid
about
in
that.
real whipped cream, champagne for after dinner. It was my conception of romantic.
It was romantic. It really was.
But this is something I actually don't remember. But for some reason, Caroline came to my apartment instead of me picking her up at hers.
I don't remember either. I probably wanted to make sure he didn't get cold feet, you know.
So anyway, Caroline arrives.
And I walk in, And the first thing I notice is that his apartment is completely filled with Star Wars stuff.
Yes.
I mean, he had Star Wars action figures, he had Star Wars posters on the wall, Star Wars props, he had blasters and lightsabers. Yoda's cane, for heaven's sake. I mean,
Right.
you probably think you even had a Star Wars music playing.
I did not.
I bet you did.
At least I don't think I did. But in any case, it was all out in the open. I had to make my big confession. I'm a Star Wars-aholic.
I actually didn't mind. I kind of liked it. I didn't tell him this, but I remember I was a closet science fiction fan myself. This is so embarrassing.
I start telling Caroline all about my passion for Star Wars. And she suddenly tells me she's never seen any of the Star Wars movies. I couldn't believe it. I'm astounded. So I said, that's it, clear the decks. We're not going anywhere tonight. You've got to see Star Wars, at least the first one, which is still my favorite, by the way. So I set her down on the couch and I put in the tape, the original tape, which I still have, thank God, all three, before Lucas started monkeying with the special effects and adding new scenes and putting in Hayden Christensen instead of the real Anakin on the DVDs, you know.
And I stayed the night, didn't I, Lloyd?
Yes, you did, Caroline. And what a glorious night it was.
Too much information, huh?
That's so wrong.
Wait. Ooh la la.
That's hot.
Oh. Brought that, Lloyd.
It's kind of phallic. God.
But seriously, Caroline, you'd never seen Star Wars before.
Amazing, isn't it? But her father was anti every form of entertainment except reading. Isn't that right, Caroline? I mean,
yes.
When I first met Caroline, she hardly even went to the movies unless it was considered highly intellectual. I think she saw The Sorrow and the Pity 5 times.
Yes, but actually I had seen it.
Seen what, Caroline?
Seen Star Wars, Lloyd. Come on, you had to have realized it by now. How could I not have seen Star Wars? I mean...
You're saying you saw Star Wars before you saw it at my apartment?
Yeah. I snuck out with a friend and saw it at the theater like everybody else did.
I don't believe it.
So, you've been lying to Lloyd this whole time?
It was a white lie. I wanted to give him some pleasure. And I did, didn't I, darling?
It doesn't matter. It was still a great experience. But why didn't you tell me before?
I didn't want to burst your bubble.
So why are you bursting it now?
Because Dawn asked me. I didn't want to lie to him.
But you could... Yes, I suppose these things can't remain hidden forever. It had to come out sometime.
I'm sorry, darling. I didn't realize it would hurt you so.
I wasn't going to say this before, but there's a dark side to Star Wars, just like there's a dark side to the Force. I was 11 when I first saw Star Wars. I was riveted. Man, I went every week as soon as I got my allowance. But it wasn't just the special effects. Much more than the special effects, it was the adventure. Because it seemed to promise that adventure in my own life was right around the corner. And all you needed was a good blaster at your side and the ability to trust in yourself. But life, real life, isn't like that. Real life is all about compromise. And the choices you make in real life are not nearly as clear-cut as the choices in Star Wars. So I end up making 1,000 little choices until by 1,000 little cuts, all the adventure is drained out of my life. And a few years ago, I put on my old Star Wars tape just to try and recapture some of what I had lost. The only person who made any sense was Uncle Owen. Stay on the farm, mind your own business. That's why I had such high hopes for the prequels, because I thought they could give me back some of what I had lost. But of course they couldn't, and it probably wouldn't have even if they had been any good. Because the movie of my life is no longer Star Wars, but it's something very different.
My experience with Star Wars was a little like Celine's. It snuck up on me. I was pretty young, 11 or 12, and I'd seen the ads for Star Wars on TV, and naturally I wanted to go see it. The movie had actually been out for a few weeks when one night I was lying in bed listening to the radio, just flipping through stations, and I got to the classical music station. I almost went on to the next station when I heard something so beautiful. I stopped. I didn't know it at that particular moment, but I was listening to Princess Leia's theme. Anyone remember how it goes? Not even the main Star Wars theme, which I'm sure I'd heard from the ads on TV. Something completely different. You know, in a way I was surprised because I wasn't exactly a fan of classical music. But I kept listening, and at the end, the announcer said what it was. Princess Leia's theme by John Williams from Star Wars. They were probably just trying to boost their ratings or something because everything at that time was about Star Wars. I woke up the next morning with that music still playing in my head. And at breakfast, I asked my mom if she'd go in halvesies with me so I could buy the album. She agreed, and right after breakfast. My mom was very nice. We went to the store and bought it. I brought it home. I had this little record player in my room. You know the kind, the little box. I started playing the music over and over again. And of course, I loved all of the music, not just Princess Leia's theme. I still hadn't seen Star Wars yet, but by now the movie was a mega hit, you know, and the PR machine was really cranking. I mean, I don't know how anybody could have avoided it. The album was great. It's this double album, you know, and when you opened it, it contained all of these great little extras and pictures and stuff. I wish I still had it. Man. I'm sure it's a collector's item. Maybe I can get it off eBay someday. Well, anyway, I was listening to the music all the time, practically morning, noon, and night. And one evening, my dad came home from work. He must have had a bad day. And he stormed into my room and shouted, "Turn that goddamn music off!" He was sick of it. At first, I couldn't understand. And the music was beautiful. And it was classical music, right? Sort of. I was angry and hurt. I was mad at him for a long, long time. And he never apologized. Well, a few days later, I went to see Star Wars with a few friends of mine who'd actually seen it 2 or 3 times before. And I loved it. I mean, I really loved it. Still, a kind of a cloud hung over it after what happened with my dad. That's the first time I saw Star Wars.
I first saw Star Wars on television, but it wasn't until Don and I met and we saw it together that it came to mean something to me because of what it meant to him.
And of course, Andre immediately picked up on what I was talking about.
Of course.
The first time I saw Star Wars, I was still in high school. I think in the 9th grade. And I still haven't come out yet. It's easier now. A little easier. For boys, young men, to come out in high school, but it wasn't easy back then. So I went with some friends of mine who weren't gay and didn't know I was gay. I can't remember how they reacted to it. I'm sure they liked it, but for me, it was a revelation. For the first time in my life, I caught a glimpse of what was possible. I mean, in Star Wars, people come from all over the galaxy, so it didn't matter if you had 3 eyes or 4 arms or a snout for a nose. Everyone was treated the same. No one was a freak, not even Jabba the Hutt. The movie gave me hope. And of course, I liked it for other reasons as well. I mean, the action sequences were great, and the relationships between the characters and all the funny bits. But it was that one aspect that I took away with me. And it wasn't too long after that I did come out, which of course was just as hard as I expected. But still, I have never forgotten the dream of Star Wars. And I don't care if someone watching this film, you know, the one we're in right now, will undoubtedly comment, "What a cliche. The gay guy who loves Star Wars because he thinks it says something about diversity." Because that makes absolutely no fucking difference.
Don, language.
Which one do you like better? 1, 2, or 3?
Well, what about what came before Star Wars?
Excuse me, what did you say?
I said, what about all the movies that came before Star Wars? Lloyd knows all about them. I grew up without television, so I missed a lot of the...
Culturally deprived childhood. What I meant was, were you talking all movies or all science fiction movies? Because the biggest science fiction movie before Star Wars, at least in the 70s, was Silent Running or Logan's Run or maybe Dark Star, which were all social commentary films.
You know, 2001 is what changed science fiction.
Yes, but that was Kubrick, and you know, Kubrick, I just don't think Kubrick ever started an actual trend.
What about Star Trek?
Or Lost in-
Excuse me, fucking Star Trek.
Or Lost in Space.
Good, but small screen. They didn't become movies until after Star Wars.
So we're just discussing movies here? I mean, why can't we talk? I'm not sure, but television really started it all with science fiction, right?
No, there was stuff like Metropolis, Fritz Lang, 1927. The Day the Earth Stood Still, Robert Wise, 1951.
The same guy who ruined the Magnificent Ambersons?
And gave us The Sound of Music, 1965.
I rest my case.
My darling Lloyd, film historian par excellence.
Oh, Planet of the Apes, no?
That was the late 60s, but again, look, that was a great cult thing, but total schlock and cheese, and nobody took that movie seriously whatsoever.
God, I can't stand it. That is just so wrong, Lloyd. Planet of the Apes is a fantastic movie. And the music, Jerry Goldsmith. You just don't like music, do you, Lloyd? Music hath charms to soothe the savage beast.
Breast. The correct word is breast.
Okay, savage breast. Maybe you're just not savage enough, Lloyd.
Ooh, my darling Lloyd, wild child par excellence.
Francois Truffaut, 1970, no?
Nice.
You see, your husband is not the only one.
And To Soften Rocks, William Congreve.
Student of poetry as well, huh?
Par excellence. He has a master's degree.
I'm sorry, Lloyd. Whose rocks? Mine are just fine, thank you.
The end of the quotation.
I'm thinking of Shane, you know, the old pro and the kid, even True Grit with John Wayne and Kim Darby. Feel your hands, Pilgrim. You know, just that basic Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker, that strict father-son relationship.
It's timeless. Hero with 1,000 faces. Joseph Campbell, you know.
Hey, the kid stays in the picture.
But I always believed that Shane didn't die, that his spirit lives on, just like Obi-Wan's spirit lives on.
Samurai movies, westerns, serials, Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, The Perils of Pauline, for God's sake. They all influenced Lucas enormously.
Of course, but way back then, they didn't have the same special effects. I mean, the same as Star Wars. Right. I mean, with Star Wars, it was like nothing we had ever seen before. It was incredible. The attack on the Death Star at the end of the movie, you know what I was talking about a few minutes ago, and Han and Chewie coming to the rescue in the Millennium Falcon, still one of my all-time favorite scenes.
Mine too. It's true. For better or worse, it's true. With Star Wars, you draw a line in the sand.
But aren't you always telling me, Lloyd, that the 70s was the last great decade for film?
Am I, Caroline?
Yeah.
Yes,
you
you're
say
right.
that all the time.
The Godfather, Clute, The Deer Hunter, Taxi Driver, Days of Heaven, Apocalypse Now, Jaws, still Spielberg's best movie, by the way. Didn't see the first shark for half an hour. Tiger, 13-footer. You know how you know that when you're in the water, Chief? You tell by looking from dorsal to tail.
Oh my gosh!
Did he scare you?
And then the deluge. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Special effects run rampant. Special effects no longer in service of the film, but the film in service of the special effects.
May I write that down? I will translate it into French for Cahiers du Cinéma.
And it's only gotten worse.
Oh, poor Lloyd.
Poor Lloyd indeed, Caroline.
Well,
Lloyd was going to be a screenwriter, weren't you, Lloyd?
I was. Still am. Someday. Oh, and Caroline was going to be an architect. Isn't that true, darling?
The dumbing down of movies, that's what I object to. You know, in a way, I think the movies have always appealed to the lowest common denominator. The problem is the denominator. It's sunk clear out of sight. Give me more movies like Sideways.
or even My Big Fat Greek Wedding, no?
That's a very good movie.
Incidentally, did you know that Spielberg once refused to lend money to Orson Welles so he could make a film, but then spent tens of thousands of dollars buying up a sled from Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
He's never been able to get over that.
You know, I love that movie, and the one she made after Connie and Carla, brilliant.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So what do y'all say? The movies since Star Wars, 1977, better or worse?
Worse.
Oh, I don't know. I suppose worse.
I'd have to say worse, with just a few exceptions.
Worse, much worse.
How about you, Jake?
Well, I'm young, better, of course.
Fair enough.
Christ, I don't know. What am I supposed to say?
Opinion?
Actually, there's one thing I do know. Lloyd better start taking some Prozac or something. And quick, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe Viagra. Or both.
What about you, Buster?
Well, Don doesn't need Viagra anyway.
That's what we should be talking about.
Actually,
huh?
you know what? You haven't even answered either.
No. You mean the first three? Huh?
We're having a discussion.
Alone.
Of course, it's not just the movies. Everything has changed.
What?
I agree. Everything has changed, but how do you mean?
Society has changed, our values have changed, our situation in the world has changed.
So you're saying this has something to do with the movies or with Star Wars in particular?
The dark side has prevailed, huh?
Yeah, I would agree with that. As long as you equate the dark side with a total lack of imagination and complete mediocrity in filmmaking.
I believe what I'm talking about is much more serious than that. And in the last 2 presidential elections, we've witnessed the backlash.
Oh my.
No, it's true. There is a phenomenon I have observed.
Which is?
I call it the phenomenon of desensitization.
That's one problem, yes.
In which we up the ante every step of the way. Special effects not spectacular enough, make them even more spectacular. Not enough blood, show even more blood.
Gallons and gallons.
Or anyway, liters and liters, n'est-ce pas, chérie?
Exactement.
Not enough skin, show even more skin.
And the problem with that would be...
The problem with that, son, is that too many people in this country have lost their moral compass if they ever had one.
My moral compass is just fine, thank you.
Is it, son?
Please don't call me son. I have only one father.
You're right about that.
And so we have to watch a reporter being beheaded just to feel anything?
Watching Revenge of the Sith was a little like being beheaded.
Even worse, it lasted over 2 hours.
That's not funny, either of you. I don't find that funny at all.
Loosen
You know,
up.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was very funny, Lloyd.
Have any of you watched the beheadings?
Yes, I did. I don't know why. It was terrible.
I did too. I wish I hadn't.
No.
I saw one of the beheadings. I'm sorry there's such things.
But they do serve a useful purpose.
What?
What?
Unless we know what's happening in the world and can understand the consequences of our actions, there's nothing we can do to change the way things are. I mean, when I heard about the first beheading and how awful it was, I didn't want to watch it, but I also refused to stick my head in the sand. And so I watched it. And it was as terrible as everybody said. And I wanted to turn away, but I didn't. I didn't let myself because I wanted to learn the truth. I wanted to see it with my own eyes, and I'm not sorry I did.
The horror, huh? The horror.
I'm not saying I necessarily disagree, but I can't help thinking. You two have got to be about the strangest pair I've ever run across. Andre, am I being too judgmental?
Well, remember, sweetie, we're all God's children.
Ah, you see how lucky I am. You see why I love this man?
So are movies the symptom or the cause? I bet that's the question our invisible director would like us to ask.
It's a good question.
They're both at the same time. Have you ever noticed how Lucas holds himself apart from Hollywood? He despises Hollywood.
So what are you saying, that Hollywood is evil?
Do you know what goes on in Hollywood, Lloyd?
I'm sure he wishes he did.
But like I was saying before, it's a lot more serious than just Hollywood. And you may not be aware of it, but there are many millions of Americans who are no longer prepared to accept what other less moral people have tried for many years to impose on them.
What is the old saying? 50 million Americans can't be wrong.
I thought it was Frenchmen.
Ah, yes. We did oppose the war in Iraq, did we not?
Here's what I see. He's a conservative, I'm a conservative. I agree with him, we're the same.
Andre, I don't think you're the same.
Oh, I thought we were all the same.
Wait, you're a conservative?
Yes, I am.
Why are you a conservative?
Well, because I have money and I want to know how my money is being spent. And I want to have some left when I'm old, or God forbid, perhaps alone. Also, my church has money, which I help invest.
Video games are a good example of what I'm talking about. I mean, almost every big budget movie out of Hollywood is now a potential video game. And video games are horribly violent. And that violence influences our youth, who are the primary audience for video games. Do you play video games, Jake?
Yes, I play video games.
You play violent video games.
I love violent video games.
Hey, I play video games too, just to let you know.
Listen, Bill, don't worry about it. You don't have to put a yellow star on for me. I'm not a Jew or a gypsy or even a homosexual.
So you love violent video games?
I love them.
What's your favorite?
Grand Theft Auto, no doubt.
Where you get to kill police. Does your father know that you play Grand Theft Auto?
No, he doesn't know.
What do you think he would say if he did?
I think that he would say that violence is a part of everyday life.
Did you know that video games are being used to train our soldiers in Iraq?
Did you know that playing video games can increase your IQ? Etienne told me this when he's not working at Microsoft. He's playing video games.
I call those people high IQ morons.
I know 3 or 4 of Etienne's friends from work. I cannot disagree.
Are you saying our soldiers in Iraq are morons?
I'm saying nothing of the kind. But I will say they're being used as dupes by the Bush administration, along with every other Christian fundamentalist in America. Fortunately, there are mill bloggers who know the truth and who are not afraid to write about it.
I'm a Christian fundamentalist.
Oh, big surprise.
I guessed.
You don't have any children, do you, Lloyd?
What does that have to do with anything?
Here we go. If you had a family, maybe you'd understand what I was talking about.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the erosion of family values.
Lloyd and I are a family. We understand family values as well as anyone, maybe better. While we're on the subject, I have a theory about the Bush administration and the environment. It seems to me that the Bush administration doesn't care about the environment or anything else really because they think the apocalypse is right around the corner, and therefore it doesn't make any difference. The planet as we know it will be gone anyway, so might as well rape, pillage, and plunder before it happens. That's my theory.
Aren't you talking about the rapture?
Exactly.
Like in the Left Behind books. You know, where all the right-wing Christians get taken up into heaven. And, well, there is one good thing about it, though. You know, we wouldn't have George Bush to kick around anymore.
You mean kick us around?
And actually, I'm not so sure how good a thing that would be. That other Dick Cheney, would be president. And I don't think he's going to be allowed anywhere near heaven.
Gangster rap, global warming, access of evil, pornography on the internet, Harry Potter, Microsoft Windows, the Imperial Stormtroopers in Iraq. There's just so many things.
Yes, but there's
what
so
do we
many
do?
Things every freaking generation.
Too much.
Slavery, fascism.
Yes, but we didn't have communication.
Those things are the true things.
Well,
Great.
you're entitled to your own opinion now.
I know.
Let him talk.
Look, I don't want to argue. I didn't come here to argue. But 30 years ago, we didn't have the morning after pill. We didn't have abortion. We didn't have AIDS.
Abortion, he says
We did
abortion.
not have
That is a
pornography
topic
over
for
the
which I have
internet.
no
We
patience,
didn't have the internet.
woman should have
We didn't
control over her
have
own
Janet
body,
Jackson at the Super Bowl.
You have
We
Roe
didn't
versus
have
Wade,
cloning.
Roe versus Wade, am I wrong?
We didn't have so-called scientists
Sometimes
using
a mother cannot care for
medical
her child, huh?
research on unborn babies. We didn't have Muslim terrorists threatening our very way of life. But, you know, I have to tell you, and I'd be very remiss if I didn't, for those who are searching, there is an answer to all this chaos.
Hey, I've been a searcher all my life. Maybe in the wrong places sometimes, maybe most of the time, but yeah, I'm a searcher.
So you'd like to hear what I have to say? You're serious?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay. So what are you searching for?
I don't know, a sense of purpose, I suppose, or at least a greater sense of purpose.
Okay. Well, in Star Wars, right, we have the Force and we have the dark side of the Force. And do you remember what Obi-Wan Kenobi says when Darth Vader kills him? He says, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. So what's he talking about there? He's talking about eternal life, isn't he? I mean, his physical being vanishes. Remember, just leaving a pile of clothes. But his spirit, his soul, lives on. And the same thing happens to other Jedi Knights as well, even to Anakin. After he sacrifices his life to save Luke and renounces the dark side, because these men had faith in the Force, their souls will live for all eternity. They've gained eternal life, Bill. And you too can gain eternal life and find a purpose for your life here on earth, into the bargain. You interested, Bill?
There is nothing wrong with abortion. Once, many years ago, I was 16, very young, very stupid. I was attracted to a boy. We had sex and I became pregnant. I went to my doctor 3 times and took, how do you call, RU 486? The next day, the crisis was over. Poof. I did not want to have to care for a child. I was not in love. I did not want to get married. I was still a student, and an honors student. I was accepted to the Sorbonne, and my entire life was before me.
Did your parents know?
My parents did not know.
And you never told them?
No, of course not.
Are they Catholic? Are you Catholic?
Well, I was raised a Catholic. I still go to Mass sometimes, but I do not agree with everything the Church says. I do not agree about abortion. The Pope, the cardinals, they are men, no?
You realize what you did.
Yes, I allowed my life to continue.
You could have had the baby. You could have put it up for adoption.
That was not a choice I cared to make, huh?
You took a human life.
Oh, yes, I know you believe this, huh? But what I destroyed was no bigger than this. In reality, even smaller, much smaller.
It was a life.
It was not a life. It had no heart, it had no brain, it could not think.
And a soul.
A soul. Perhaps.
If there's a soul, there's life, and all the potentiality of that life.
The soul is
The
not...
soul is in heaven. But what might that baby have become?
Lloyd, get up.
What?
Get up. I want to sit there. Yes. The baby's soul is in heaven, I agree. And that's a good thing. She didn't do anything wrong. A woman should have the right to choose, and Celine exercised that right. She chose what was right for her.
But not for the baby.
The baby was not a baby. The baby was an embryo. The baby was a pinprick.
But you refer to it as a baby.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to smoke.
Okay. You say the baby's soul is in heaven.
Yes, the baby soul is in heaven, but its physical being, what that baby might have been, what it might have become, is gone forever.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe what?
I don't believe that the baby's gone forever. I have always believed that if the baby's soul is in heaven, if you have another baby, that soul, that same soul, the one that's in heaven, will return to the new baby.
That's merely wishful thinking. I can understand why you would want that, but it's not how it works.
That is how it works. I have always believed that's how it works.
No. But you can have another baby. This time, my dear, you can make the right choice.
I was not talking about myself.
I believe you were.
I was not talking about myself.
Yes, you were.
How dare you?
You had an abortion.
How dare you?
What is he? Caroline, is this true?
She had an abortion, yes.
You?
Caroline, tell me, is this true? Is this true?
She never told you?
Would you just shut the fuck up? Please, tell me, is this true? Was it mine?
Yes. Lloyd, I'm sorry. Not now, okay?
When did this happen? When did this happen?
We can always have another baby, Lloyd.
Caroline, we've been
it's not...
trying for 12 years. At least until we stop trying.
This is probably not the time or place.
When it comes to your eternal soul, Bill, it's always the time and place.
But
maybe this will help. The Bible says that God has reserved a priceless inheritance for all his children. It is kept in heaven for you, pure and undefiled, beyond the reach of change and decay. But here's the deal. Even though your place in heaven is guaranteed, your journey there to heaven is not, and can only occur through the power of faith.
The ontological leap of faith.
The what, Bill?
The ontological leap of faith. It's something I learned about in school a long time ago. It's not important.
Let me try this a little differently.
Bill, do you believe in Jesus as an actual historical figure?
Yes, I do.
And do you believe that he was a wise man and a great teacher?
Yes, I do.
And do you know his teachings?
A lot of them, yes.
And do you hold them in high regard?
Of course.
And do you acknowledge that he had enormous influence over most of mankind during the last 2,000 years?
Yes, I do, but so is Muhammad.
Oh, that's true. But Muhammad learned and borrowed from Jesus. Jesus has no peer. There's never been anyone else even remotely like him. And I think you know why.
Because he's the Son of God?
Is that what you believe?
It's what I'd like to believe.
Well, that's okay, Bill. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means you're already halfway there.
Yeah, but to tell you the truth, Herb, I've been already halfway there so many times before.
And you'd like to complete the journey this time?
If I could, sure. I've got a couple of questions for you, Herb, and I know these questions have been asked 1,000, 1,000,000 times before, but I'd just like to hear what you have to say.
Sure, fire away.
I'm thinking about the 9-year-old boy who was recently kidnapped from his home in Idaho and killed in Montana. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Well, you probably heard that while he was being held captive, he was brutally raped over and over again. The guy who did this kidnapped the boy's sister as well, and she witnessed it. What he did to her and why he let her live, I don't know. Eventually, someone spotted her in a restaurant in Coeur d'Alene with the murderer, and they got her back and arrested him.
But you're only telling part of it. At night, for days, or even weeks before he took the boy, he looked through the boy's windows with night vision goggles, planning how he was going to do it and imagining what he was going to do with him later. The night he finally came, he tied up the boy's mother, her boyfriend, and his older brother in the living room. Then he took the 9-year-old and his little sister outside, tied them up, and went back in. A few minutes later, they heard the cracking of bone and their mother's screams as she was being bludgeoned to death with a hammer. And all through this, her boyfriend was screaming and cursing. A few minutes later, the murderer got him too. Then it was the older brother's turn. Then they're not so sure what happened, but somehow, apparently, during this, the older brother got loose and staggered outside with his skull partially bashed in. The two kids were begging him to untie them, but he was too far gone to understand what they were saying. And the guy comes back out, grabs the older
For the
brother.
love of God, Caroline, just stop now. Stop, please. Please.
So, Herb, my question is this. This guy will probably go to jail for the rest of his life. They'll probably even put him in solitary confinement because child killers are always at risk of being offed by another inmate. So let's say they do. They put him in solitary confinement, and one day, out of the blue, a pastor brings him a Bible. And for the next 25 years of reading the Bible and thinking about what he's done, not just to the boy we're talking about, but to many other children as well, he sincerely, and I mean sincerely, repents of his sins and accepts Jesus into his heart. And then 6 months later, he dies. Will this guy go to heaven?
Yes, he would. He would make the journey. God would keep his promise because he did what God asked him to do.
Okay, fair enough. So let's take the boy who was murdered. I really don't know anything about him, if he was a Christian, if he was baptized, or if he'd reached the age of, what do you call it? Okay, so just for the sake of argument, let's think of another boy. And let's say that boy believed in God and had heard the good news and had even reached a certain level of maturity, but just happened to be Jewish, and like his parents, didn't accept Jesus as the true Christ. Would that boy go to hell?
Yes, he would, but remember, you're speaking theoretically. I don't believe the real boy was Jewish.
Oh, so okay, let's talk about the real boy. And let's assume that the real boy believed in God. Believed in God to the very end. But it never made a pronouncement of faith.
Faith in Jesus. And this is very hard to hear. But yes, he would go to hell.
Oh, this is absurd.
How can that be, Herb? I don't understand. I've never been able to understand.
The Bible says in 2 Corinthians that God withdrew from Hezekiah in order to test him, to see what was really in his heart. So it's possible that God was simply testing this boy, just as he tested Abraham when he instructed Abraham to kill his son, Isaac. But the Bible also says in 1 Corinthians that when you are put to the test, God will give you the strength to endure it. But there's something else, Bill, and that something else is Satan, because he does in fact exist. And people often forget this. But just like all things that God creates, Satan has a purpose. And that purpose is so that there is good and evil in the world, which is necessary to the existence of free will. And sometimes, in testing mankind, God allows Satan to win. He allows Satan to win by giving us the power to choose evil instead of good when we are tempted by Satan.
Let me tell you a little story. When I was 18 or 19, I was living with my sister over the summer. My sister's very religious. You'd probably call her born again. Well, she decided to enroll in a 6-week course that summer put on by her church, kind of a Christianity 101. And she encouraged me to enroll too. You know, I was just hanging out, teaching myself to play guitar. I didn't have a job. And I was a searcher even then, and very curious about the whole thing. There was one little problem. At the end of this course, we were expected to be able to speak in tongues. You know what that is, right? I mean, the idea being that you're so filled with the Spirit of the Lord that you can speak in some entirely different language. In fact, the Lord's own language, and one far more pleasing to his ear. My problem was this. We were expected to do this as a group, and I didn't think by any stretch that I could pull it off. And come the day, and we were standing together in this little living room. I remember it was stifling hot, but no one seemed to care. The men all wore long sleeve shirts buttoned at the collar. The women all wore long skirts. And someone gave the signal to start speaking. I stood there opening and closing my mouth, and nothing happened. I mean, the whole room was going full bore, including my sister. But I couldn't make a sound. I stood there anyway, opening and closing my mouth in case someone spotted me, and after a while it ended. The class was elated. I mean, this was absolute proof that they were accepted into the kingdom of heaven. Because that's the other thing about speaking in tongues. If you can speak in tongues, there's no clearer evidence that you've been truly saved. If you can't speak in tongues, there's always some doubt. And there's not a whole lot more to the story. I told my sister what had happened. She was very nice. She prayed for me. And later on, I found her in the kitchen, and I told her that when I tried, I could actually make the noises like I was speaking in tongues. But, that I wasn't really doing it. She asked me to go ahead and make the noises anyway, and, I did, just the way I did it a minute ago. And she got this wonderful look on her face. I've never seen her so excited. Bless the Lord, she kept saying to me over and over again. But I was just making noises, and I knew it.
Let me tell you something, Bill. I don't speak in tongues. I never have it. I don't know if I really believe in it. But here's the good news, Bill. Even though you don't speak in tongues, Jesus loves you anyway. Jesus loves you anyway.
Okay, Herb. Here's my last question. What if I, Bill Ferris, believe in Jesus and accept Jesus and love Jesus with all my heart, but don't accept that certain people who don't believe in Jesus or even God will be denied the kingdom of heaven.
Bill, Bill, what have we been talking about? What have I been saying all along? You can't do that. Those are two contradictory beliefs. That's like saying, no, that is saying, I don't believe myself. The Bible is the Word of God. You can't just pick and choose what you want to believe. It's not like you can say to yourself, gee, I like what God has to say in this part of the Bible, but I don't like the sound of what God has to say in that other part. In other words, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like Anakin, be a Jedi Knight and safely flirt with the dark side at the same time. Bottom line, the Bible is a rule book. It is the most wonderful rule book ever written. And God made these rules so by following them, we would always know the answers. We would always be right. God just doesn't allow you to make up the rules as you go along. Truth is not relative. Truth is not relative.
Let me tell you what I think. I think that Christianity, like everything else on this planet, is a passing phenomenon. If people say, hey, Christianity's been around for 2,000 years, and marvel at how long that is. But check this out. Homo sapiens have been around for at least 90,000 years. So here's what I think. I think that in 10,000 years, Christianity will have been replaced, or perhaps the right word is displaced, by 5, 6 other religions. Like a new religion every millennia or so. Or perhaps Christianity will evolve into something else, which will evolve into something else, which will evolve into, until Christianity, as we understand it today, or misunderstand it, will seem as antiquated as Zeus and Isis and Quetzalcoatl and all those other motherfuckers, who by then might have staged a huge comeback for all I know. But then there is another possibility, that if it happened, would set the whole system back to zero. What do you think would happen if some dude came along who could finally prove, really show that there is an afterlife? We're talking empirical evidence here. What do you think would happen? For that matter, what do you think would happen if that guy came along tomorrow and he just happened to be a Hindu or something? Well, I can tell you what would happen. There wouldn't be very many Christians left. That's what would happen. Because the only reason anyone believes in anything is because they're afraid of what comes after. And if somebody finally comes slouching into town who can finally solve the mystery with real proof, holy shit! Exe homo, behold the man!
I can't tell you how sorry I feel for you. I genuinely pity you. You talk about pagan gods. You make fun of the rapture. You know what happens after the rapture?
I'm not sure. The second coming of Bill Clinton?
Praise the Lord. Huh?
No.
Something even better?
What could be better than Bill Clinton?
What could be better than Bill Clinton?
Hillary Clinton.
Finally, a French accent that isn't sexy.
So what do you say, Bill, if I snagged you?
It's awfully tempting. Awfully tempting. This promise of eternal life. We're all afraid to die. We're all scared about what comes after. Look at the Egyptians. Look at the pyramids. We all want to think that our life has some sense of purpose. And we all know we need rules. But I'm sorry, Herb. It's just too easy. It's too easy and it's too hard. Too easy because life is just never that simple. And too hard because, well, in asking me to accept Jesus and God's guarantee of eternal life, you're asking me to be the kind of guy that says, if you don't believe exactly the way I believe, you're doomed to hell and damnation. And besides, and please don't get me wrong, Herb, I really don't think I'm Jedi material anyway.
So that's your answer?
You'd throw away everything I talked about?
Especially everything you talked about, Herb.
Am I completely alone at this table?
Aw, he just wants to be loved. Is that so wrong?
Oh, hush up now, sweetie. I'm a Christian.
You may think you're a Christian, and I love you for it. But in truth, you carry a horrible disease, the disease of homosexuality, which is worse than any other disease on the face of the earth, because it directly violates God's law and endangers the entire human race. The Bible says, "You shall not lie with a man as with a woman. It is abomination," and it is an abomination. And look at the two of you, and I can't help but imagine the sordid things that you do with each other. You call it natural. It isn't natural. We were put on this earth to procreate, to help grow the family of God. As far as I can tell, the only thing that you've grown in all of your couplings is AIDS, another abomination. You talk about getting married. Marriage is a holy sacrament between a man and a woman, not some mindless party that'll end in 2 or 3 months. And you talk about adopting children. Children, all children are precious. And to think that you would expose them to your values, to your way of life, so they can become like you, with the same disease, and ultimately going where you will surely go, makes me sick at heart. You said it yourself. You're young. Not much older than my own 2 sons. You still have time. You still have a chance. You can still make the right choice. And I'd like to believe that even now, in your heart, you believe in God.
Yes, I believe in God. But not just in the Christian God. And especially not just in the born-again Christian God. You know, the God who excludes everyone who isn't a born-again Christian. Who says, you may be the nicest, most spiritual person on the face of the planet, but if you're a Jew, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Buddhist, you're dead meat. I don't believe in that God at all. In fact, that's probably just some God certain human beings invented a long time ago so that they could feel like they were in the right club, and then lord it over everyone else. No pun intended. I believe in a God that brings everybody, includes everybody. Jews, Muslims, those little guys living in the Amazonian rainforest. You know, regardless of whether they believe in Jesus or have even heard of him, just as long as they're good. Truly good. That's the God that makes sense to me. In fact, to the extent that Christian fundamentalists believe in a God that tears people apart instead of bringing them together, I don't believe that's God at all. In fact, that's probably Satan, because that's what Satan would want.
Because that's what Satan would want? Because that's what Satan would want? Are you trying to say that Christian fundamentalists are in the service of Satan? Are you trying to say that I'm in the service of Satan? That's blasphemy. That is blasphemy. I didn't understand before, but I do now. You are an instrument of Satan. You are. Hey. Both you and your father. He taught you well, didn't he, huh? He taught you well.
My father.
Telling you that violence was a normal, everyday part of life?
I wasn't quoting my father.
Then who are you quoting, huh?
Quoting I don't even know what you're talking about.
Huh?
The Bible is full of violence.
Jesus is love, Jake. Jesus is love.
And I love my father. I love my friends. I love people who are closest to me.
Jesus loves us and commands us to love everyone.
And you love everyone?
I love everyone.
Ha!
But I'm no fool. I can recognize the difference between good and evil. I can recognize what your father has done to you. I know the signs. I know the signs.
My own father twisted me. My own father twisted me until I couldn't stand it. And then I found Jesus. It took time, but then I found Jesus. My heavenly Father saved me from my earthly father. Your father? You say he's too sick to work? So you live off Medicaid and state disability? Lived your entire life that way, probably. Your father stays at home all day long, watching Oprah and Jerry Springer, huh? You probably watch them too, right, Jake? Huh? No job? Never felt the need to work? Why bother? I'm the one who's paying your way, right, Jake, with my taxes? And your father is not exactly a role model, now is he? He's worked out a pretty cushy deal for himself. Huh? What are you going to do, Jake? What scam are you going to come up with? What disease are you going to cook up? Because you better make it a good one. Because you wouldn't want any social worker urging you to get some kind of job, because I'm guessing if you had an actual job, that wouldn't leave you any time to read your precious Harry Potter books. Because you do read Harry Potter, right, Jake? And play Grand Theft Auto killing cops and surfing the internet for porn? That's probably what your father does all day. Huh? When he's not watching Oprah. Jake? What an utterly meaningless existence.
Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
So, here we all are. And I'm about to make a speech, and I never make speeches. Don makes speeches, I do not. Isn't that right, Don?
That's right.
What I find amusing is that all the people sitting at this table, I should emerge as the voice of reason. I, a gay black man, or African American if you prefer, who also just happens to be a conservative Republican. First, on the subject of Star Wars. And Harry Potter too, why not? When I go see Star Wars, I do so because I want to be entertained, and not because I wish to receive religious instruction. And by the same token, when I purchase a Harry Potter, it's not because I want to learn about witchcraft or become a witch. It's for the simple pleasure of reading the story. Second, I'm a Christian, but a very different Christian from Herb. You know, as Herb was talking, I was thinking, he's like the guy who goes to the optometrist because he's having trouble in seeing properly. And the optometrist says, I've got just the answer for you. Christianity, which is good, because there are many people in this world who need help in seeing properly, myself among them. But then the optometrist puts that big machine in front of the man's eyes and says, which is better, 1 or 2? And for some strange reason, the man chooses 8 and continues to choose 8 for the rest of the examination. So when he gets his glasses, he's got the right answer, but the wrong prescription. Everything is distorted and out of focus, but the man doesn't care. He says to himself, but I know I've got the right answer. And for the rest of his life, that's how he sees things. And that's how Herb sees things. He's got the right answer, but the wrong prescription. And what Herb doesn't understand, and unfortunately a lot of other people too who call themselves Christians, is that there's really only one important thing in Christianity, and that's what it says in Matthew. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And love God. And love your neighbor. And love your partner.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Perhaps you'd like to discuss your separate visions of what might have been.
This whole thing has just been kind of weird.
I know. I know.
Very bizarre.
I don't get it. What are we supposed to do now?
Fellas, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's got to be funky. James Brown, 1802. Come on, Lloyd, help us out here.
I think what she's asking is, what would we do if we were in charge?
In charge of making the prequels?
Correct.
Of course, our problem is that we like the prequels.
So you would make no changes whatsoever?
I believe it would have made him just a bit shorter.
And at least introduce the character of Lando Calrissian.
Woof! Oh, by all means, woof done.
What about all the Star Wars books that have been written? I mean, I know a few of them, at least, deal with the events before A New Hope. They got to be better than what Lucas came up with.
Maybe, but they mostly hew to the official storyline as dictated by Lucas. Still, you gotta think there must be somebody out there who wrote something entirely different and better.
Well, imagination. They did not have enough imagination or passion. Flat. Flat. I would have created characters that we could care about, as Caroline said.
Clumsy direction, clumsy dialogue, clumsy acting. I'd remedy all those things, but that's just scratching the surface. Celine's right when she talks about imagination. I would reimagine them from the ground up, leave nothing the same, throw it all out. Create films that could be considered worthy successors to the first three, even if we can no longer respond to them with the same innocence we once had.
Well said, Lloyd.
Kid stays in the picture.
And written and directed by somebody else, of course.
Well, that goes without saying. Somebody not suffering from fat cat-itis.
Both literally and figuratively?
Well, what do we have here? Are they back?
Oh, back maybe, but back among the living, that's the question.
Star Wars instead of Star Wars.
I mean, you know, there's at least a dim possibility that somebody's actually going to see us in this thing.
Our 15 minutes of fame.
Or shame.
Yeah, or shame.
Are you concerned about someone seeing this movie?
No,
And I'm sorry to mention this, but our time together is rapidly coming to an end.
No, I don't think so. It's just that, well, I would have liked to have been the hero of the movie, and I wasn't.
The hero.
Yeah, I would have liked to have been the hero for once.
And was there a villain?
Well, I suppose you'd assign that role to Herb, but he could just as easily have been the hero in a different picture with different characters. Oh, well, there's my sister. I don't know what she's going to say when she sees this, if she sees it. But I guess she knows me well enough by now to understand. I'll live with it.
When are you leaving for France?
Oh, I'm leaving in 2 weeks.
Does Etienne know you're here?
Yes, I told him last week, but I doubt that he remembered. Probably still at work.
Do you hope he'll see this movie?
I don't care.
But wouldn't you like him to know how you feel? Wouldn't you like the entire world to know how you feel?
Yes.
I loved being in this movie. I love the discussion. I hope everybody sees it.
I'm sorry for being angry. It's never happened to me before. I wouldn't want my father to see it. I don't know what he would think. I can't act that way. I have a superstition that the better I am as a person, the longer I can keep my father alive. I know it's crazy, but that's how it is. I don't know what I'm going to do after my father dies. I love my father, but I hate being so dependent on him and him being so dependent on me in all the ways that he is and in all the ways that I am.
Part of me is concerned about my church. There'll be comments, I'm sure.
Do we care though, Andre?
Yes, Don, we do care. But we'll also persevere.
So, Lloyd, you had mentioned 12 Angry Men. Do you feel the time has come to take a vote?
On George Lucas's guilt or innocence?
Yes.
Okay, why not? Jake?
Innocent.
Andre?
Innocent.
Don?
First, let me do this. Innocent.
Bill?
Innocent.
Herb? Celine?
I never thought he was guilty, huh? We are all human. Innocent.
Innocent.
How about you, Lloyd? What's your vote?
No le contendere.
Well, that's a plea, not a vote.
Yeah, well. Guess we'll have to leave it at that anyway, huh?
Thank you all very much for coming this evening. It has been a remarkable session. In fact, the most remarkable of all the sessions I've facilitated. Should we decide to use this session or portions of it,
What?
you will be informed in due course.
Wait a second. That wasn't the real thing?
It certainly felt real to me.
Good news, Caroline. They're kicking us out. We have to go home.
Do we really, Lloyd? But we've had such a grand time here.
Haven't we just?
Why don't you go get the car?
You want me to leave you? Caroline, that doesn't make any sense. The car's just across the street.
Let me get this straight. This wasn't the movie. I'm not gonna be a star.
Oh, you're a star to me, sweetie.
And you had all the best lines.
Oh, finally, I can smoke.
So all our fears were groundless?
Oh, correction. Maybe groundless.
Did you ever hear about the guy who recut the Phantom Menace? Took out all the scenes with Jar Jar Binks, posted his version on the internet.
Yes.
Now that was great.
But listen to this. What if you could get all the actors back, rewrite their dialogue, and then get somebody like, oh, I don't know, George Cukor to direct them? Now, there's a dream
Wasn't he
come
the
true.
one that directed Ribs, Adam's Ribs? Huh?
Adam's rib.
But how would you get rid of the kid from Phantom Menace? I mean, I suppose you could digitally erase him and replace him with someone else,
Harsh. Oh, harsh.
but necessary.
The kid was fine. The kid was fine. Andre, wasn't the kid fine?
In all honesty, the kid was just okay. He could have been better.
Oh, or how about Michael Curtiz, who directed Casablanca and all the best Errol Flynn movies? Captain Blood, 1935, Charge of the Light Brigade, 1936, Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938, Seahawk, 1940. Just think what he could have done with Star Wars. They say there's a little bit of Han Solo in every man. But since I am Han Solo, there must be a little bit more in me.
Oh, really, Lloyd? Where have you been hiding him? Certainly not in your pants.